Hi, welcome to the series of Python in Maya. This will be the first tutorial in that series where we'll be understanding the basics of Python, how to create a basic objects using a Python. And then laterwards we'll extend it to the second chapter or the second tutorial where we'll work on creating an objects using the components and try to create a series of objects, sequential objects using for commands and all those stuff. And if we get any time or something else, we'll try to animate that objects using the for loops. Laterwards in the third tutorial, we'll try to work on creating a window where we can create the buttons which can be linked to whatever sorts of objects we would like to create. Before starting the basics, we should understand the history of Python. Generally, why Maya is so powerful, very fast. Personally, what I feel is that Maya is totally dependent on Mel. Maya, whatever you do, it echoes the commands, the Mel commands. Let's take, if I create a polycube, can you see here? It has created a command. Let's take, if I create a cylinder, it's created a cylinder. And if I rotate it, but all these are Mel commands. Then you may be asking that why Python then? If its Mel is already there, why we should go for Python? Uh, my sorry, the Python is one of the most powerful scripting languages, which is widely used in all sorts of programs, whether it's the banking or any other source. But we'll talk about the digital animations or digital games and all this stuff. Python is everywhere. Whether you can use it in Maya, you can use it in Nuke, Unity, and all sorts of other programs. But we'll try to work on Python here. Let's take First, we'll write a small command. I don't want to start with a print command and all things. Hello world or something. No, I don't want to do it. We'll start, because we are a 3D artist, we'll try to create a 3D model here. A basic cube using a Python command. To work on Python command, and generally if you are a starter or intermediate and advanced level, you should always launch. It's always helpful for you if you launch help Python command reference. This command reference will give you all the list of all commands which are embedded in Maya. If I type here polycube, I don't know what I'm just typing a polycube. How to write and all the stuff that will give you. The documentation will help us to understand how to write. Now click here. The command is polycube, and can you see here the C is capital letter, starting word is always a small letter. This is called camel case. 90% of the programs depend on camel case, so I prefer you guys still use this option. If you use it, it's always helpful for you. And if you check the synopsis, the polycube, if you start analyzing this as an object, if you can see, it's an object with loads of overloaders like axes and all things. But when it comes to 3D, we'll say that they're all flags. A polycube has different flags. It has got axes, construction history, name, texture, height, and it's clearly explaining. If we are typing a name, it's a string. Object is a boolean. In Maya, Python, boolean is not on or off, it's true or false. So if you scroll down here, see axis. This flag specifies the primitive axis used to build a cube. Let's scroll down here, let's go for height. Yes, see, height specifies the height. The default is, and it has all got default values also. So let's go back here. If you scroll down here, you got an example also. You can copy this command and use it, but generally I prefer, we'll go here, I'll show you how to write the command. So go to Python, Okay, I'll create a new tab. Here in Python, first and foremost thing is you have to type this called import maya.cmds as. Here you can call it anything. You can call it RAM, you can call it RK, you can call it MC or CMDS. Generally we prefer MC. I prefer MC and a lot of people will prefer MC. That is the short form of Maya commands. So what we are doing here, we are importing all the Maya commands into Python now. You must be asking, RAM Python is in Maya, then why we should import it? Still it's an external IDE. So I imported some plugin commands here. Now scroll down. We have seen in this manual that this is a command polycube. So I'll come back here. You have to type MC because it has to import the commands polycube and brackets. If you don't put brackets, it won't understand this command. So let's run this code. Okay, to run this code, you can just click on this button or go to command, execute a button, execute, or you can press enter on a small keypad, not on the major keypad. You will have a small num clock keypad, get press or enter. But generally I prefer this one. In this tutorial I prefer normal execute button, sorry. And the other thing, very important thing is that don't just click on here. If you click on here, I'll show you what happens. I'll copy this one. Boom. It's created a cube, but you lost the information. Let's take, if you want to edit something, it's gone. So that's why always select your code, script and execute. So when you execute it, it will execute it. Still you will have your code back here. I'll move this level aside. Let's take, I would like to create a cube with the height, width and name and all the stuff. So come back here. I want width of 2, height of 9, depth of 2. Let's run this command. Right? Can you see here if the channel box? 292. And the width and height and all of that, I wrote just WHD. It's just I'm following this one. See, width W is a short name. If you want it, you can write width, the long name, height and also. Here if you scroll down also, we got one more thing called name. I'll come back here, comma. I'll show you one more thing before adding the name. If you create one object cube, in mel command, there is no commas and every flag has a dash before the name of the flag. And there's no comma, nothing else, it's just one. But whereas when you're working on Python coding, W equals this one, comma, height equals, okay? Now n equals, it's a string, so you should put in quotes. I'll save it. I'll put some, let's take a block, select this command because it's already there in the memory, so I don't need to select. I can just drag this code, run it. Block. Okay, now we'll try to extend it. Let's take, I want this cube to be placed exactly on top of the ground. So everybody knows this is that it has to move because by default the pivot is exactly the origin at the center of this object. So height divided by 2 will give you the position. So what I'll do, how to move it, that's the first thing you need to understand. If you, I'll clean this one. If I move it, this is the command. Okay, okay, you got it now. So I'll come back here, mc dot move bracket. Here, when it comes to move, you have to give the first the values, what to move, how to move. I'll put 0. I'll put, generally you can put 4.5 because you know the height, but always if you start extending it, you know that the height values and everything will be given by the external user. So I'll go for 9 divided by 2 and 0 comma and what object? It's a block. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. Because move this object with this values, and which object it should move? It should move the block. Boom, it's created and moved it, but can you see here? It didn't move like this. It just moved like 4 units. Because when you given these values, Python, when you didn't put any dots or something else, it assumed that this is an integer, a whole number. So you have to convert into a float. It's very simple. You can put dot 0 to 2.0. If you run this command, oh. Okay. Now let's take, I'll move this one a little bit side, and if I run this command, but you must think that I put it here, it should have moved up like this, but it's moving. I move it down like this. It's always going to the origin, or else it's always going to the initial position and positioning, because by default move command is associated with absolute process. Absolute means based on origin. So here, if you come here, change it to relative and true, because relative is a boolean operation. You can check here. Okay, where is it? Okay, let's now let's take okay. It's relative. Relative is based on its position. Let's say I move it here and select this command. Got it? So it's relative. So wherever the block is there, it will move. Till now you understood it. Let's take, I want to create number of blocks with the name starting with block 1, block 2, block 3. It's very simple. Just you need to come here, after the name of block put hash symbol. So if I run this command, move it. If you drag and select it, everything is like Windows outliner, block 1 2 3 4 5 6. But can you see here, when I set it block, everything is gone down, because it's looking for block. It's not looking for block 1, block 2 or anything. It's looking for block, and we don't have any object called block. Let's take, if you change here and put a star symbol and test it. Right? It has moved all the way down. Right? So I'll run this command. It's created. Then I'll run this command. Now it's going all the way up. So it works, but there's certain procedures you need to follow. The thing is that rather than putting here a block, I'll remove everything here. In front of this one, I'll create a variable. Let's take my cube. So all these commands, all this creation is under my cube. So I can just come here and say my cube. So let's take, if it's block 1, it will move the block 1. I'll move lines. One more. One more. You see, everything is not here. It's just that I select all these things. I put all this command in one variable, and then I started moving the variable rather than the blocks and all stuff. So it won't give you any errors. Okay, that's why I showed you putting star and showing that how it get messed up and all stuff. Right? So we have wrote some basic commands. Now we'll try to rotate it. How to rotate it? It's very simple. Rotate. This is the command, and I want to rotate it in x-axis. So come back here, mc dot rotate. I'll put, let's take 12 degrees, 0, 0, and what should it rotate? It should rotate my cube, and it should be relative based on its position, because when we add loops of objects and all things, you will understand why I've told this. Okay, so you can start working on these things. Right? So you know how to create a cube, you know how to create the type, you know now how to assign that code into a variable and then move it based on the variable. And before concluding this tutorial, I'll show you some more thing. Let's take this is 9 by this one. I don't like it. I don't like 9 because I said that some external guy can give you some height. So I'll set my height is, let's say, 9. So now double click, copy, change this 9 to my height, this 9 to my height. Because when we create an integer slider groups where an user can change, user can add the value and change it. That's why we said. Now if you run this command, it runs perfectly. Let's say if I change it to 12, because now 12 divided by 6, one more. Now I change it to, let's take 5, 6. Can I see now? Now if you check Windows Outliner, everything is okay. That's good. Practice this for a couple of times. You will understand the basics, and then in the next tutorial we'll extend it to working on like using for loops and then animating it. That's one tutorial. Also we'll try to extend it a little bit to creating a window in the third tutorial, but it's a huge series of tutorials. We'll start with this basics. So before wrapping up, I'll just come here to mc dot poly cylinder. I can create a poly cylinder now. Let's see if I want to create a cone. Can you see here? Double click, come here, mc dot. So if I select everything, so everything is created. What I'll do is just copy this one. This is like a small exercise for you guys. I won't be explaining all this. I'm just copying here. My cylinder. Uh, okay, just my so is equals to mc dot value cylinder, and it should move. I didn't give any heights. I'll move it based on the height. Okay, whatever height I'm giving, and rotate it based on the cube. This should be my cylinder. The same way, I'll come here. My cone, copy my cone. But if I run, delete everything, run it, everything is here. So it should move in x-axis. Can you see? This is x-axis. So in move x-axis, I'll just change it to -5. So I'll just this one I'll leave it to 0. -5. And here I put -10. So that you have something objects like this. And it has been rotated. You can change this value to rotate like 24 degrees. This is 36 degrees. Okay, and we didn't give any flags in all these things, so that's why it will be, the names will be like cylinder and all the stuff. You can do the names, just name my pipe here, n equals, it's not a parameter, I just Control X, select the code, run it, outline. Okay, it's block 1 because we gave this indentation, this symbol, so not indentation, this symbol here, hash, that's why it has got 1, and everything is perfect now. So hope you enjoyed this lesson, practice it, and then I'll see you in the next tutorial where we'll work on creating a sequential of blocks and rotating it, and maybe we'll add some animation to it. Thank you, see you, and bye.